Welcome back to the Capture Your Confidence podcast. We are back for the month of December, as we've done the last couple years, bringing you our top 5 episodes of the year.
And this one is a dear friend of ours, Ashley Landers. We talk all about the confidence to build a business outside of your comfort zone.
And it was a great episode because I think she did a nice job of taking us through her journey. She started as a teacher and then to her entrepreneurship business. And I just think it was so relatable.
Yeah. And I think one of the really cool things about Ashley is her willingness to just get in there and figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think it's so relatable to anyone who builds a business. You know, you walk in thinking that it's going to be one way and then realizing, oh my gosh, there are all these skills that I have to master that I've never done before. And listening to her take on the way that she did it was so refreshing.
Yes. So we know you guys are going to enjoy hearing it again, and we will be back with number 4 next week. Welcome back to the Capture Your Confidence podcast. We are here today with a special guest, Ashley Landers, who is the owner of 2 businesses here in Columbus. Mm-hmm. One is the Oasis Face Bar in Dublin and Worthington, and the other is Dome Scalp and Head Spa.
Yes.
And we are so excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be here.
So, my darling, how doth one get into owning all of these like beauty-based businesses? I'm so intrigued.
I'm still, it's still crazy to me. I mean, I would say I was a former teacher. I am a mom of 3. And I came here kicking and screaming from the New York City area. I landed like the dream job as a master teacher where I traveled the district and I trained teachers. And I came here and it kind of just jump-started me into a different career, really.
So you go from teaching and training to being an esthetician.
I went from teaching and training to being a business owner and then an esthetician.
Okay.
I love this. Okay. So when you moved to the Columbus area, were you teaching here or you were only teaching in New York?
I was only teaching in specifically Hoboken, New Jersey. And I moved here and I became a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. We were in temporary housing in Gahanna and it was the hardest year of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why was it the hardest year of your life? Just like being, in a new place with littles, like what was it?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, I just loved being able to like walk out my door, walk to the restaurants, walk to wherever we wanted to go. Funny story. We were in Gahanna and I was like, oh, well, I just can walk everywhere still. Like, I'll just make it happen. I was trying to like cross this busy street. I don't even know, maybe Morse Road or something, going to Starbucks. Everly was screaming in the stroller. Mm-hmm. And I was just like bound to make it happen. But yeah, I just don't think I was made to be like a long-term stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. And how old were your kids at that time?
So I had Everly and she was only 18 months.
Okay.
I think I'm interested to hear your perspective on this because I resonate deeply with that same feeling of thinking that I wanted to have, 75% of my time be with my kids and then getting that and realizing that was absolutely not for me. So talk to me about how that transition went for you and like how you realized that was not the thing that was meant for you.
Yeah. So, and I wouldn't say it was like totally not meant for me, but just that, that being my main thing wasn't necessarily meant for me. But I also knew I didn't want to go back to teaching in the corporate world or anything like that, kind of going by someone else's schedule. So I just love a purpose. I love direction. I love a schedule. As like unscheduled as I am, I still love like my little like planner. Mm-hmm. And I would look at the week and it would be like one play date and like one music class. And I would just be like, I can't do this. Yeah. I have to fill it up. Thankfully, I met really good friends that helped me fill it up with friend stuff, children, stuff for my kids and me, but which served a huge purpose in that time. But I still had this itch that entire time.
So how long were you home before you?
So I actually was home for, I would say it was 4 years.
Okay.
And I dove into like selling like a little bit of lipstick and stuff, which was really fun.
Yeah.
But, it was just kind of just for fun.
Okay. So you're home for 3 or 4 years. And at this point you have more kids?
Yes. So I had Jack, who is 7 now. And then we were finished. Mm-hmm. We sold everything, from down to the like last onesie to the crib to everything. And then the week that I launched Oasis Face Bar Worthington, I was painting the walls. And I thought to myself, I think I'm pregnant.
Universe funny.
You were.
And I was.
Yes. Yeah. So how did you get to the place where Oasis was on your radar as even an option of something you wanted to do?
I mean, honestly, I think it was just all my life. You look back and it's like things just fall into place, and it's kind of just recognizing them and like taking that open door and like running into it. So actually I forgot that I took a front desk job at B Rose Beauty Bar.
Did you?
I did. I won't tell you what the starting pay was, but it wasn't enough necessarily to cover the babysitter.
Yeah.
But my husband said, like, as long as this brings you happiness, like the money is like that's priceless. So yes, we're paying like $5 more maybe for the babysitter
than what you're bringing in.
What you're doing.
God bless a man who knows that his wife's happiness is more important than whatever it is that's costing her to go and do the thing.
Yeah. But I will say B Rose Beauty Bar opened all those doors for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, the owners there were awesome. They really just opened my eyes to, the salon world and just management in general. They quickly gave me more responsibility, which I loved more and more, and realizing, it was kind of always that point of like wanting more. And I met Molly Lyons now, at an event at B Rose, and she was looking to build Oasis Space Bar into a franchise. It was not a franchise yet. And so I actually joined Oasis Space Bar before it was even a franchise. And we kind of opened up that location together in Powell. We were like in a small room in B Rose. And then Worthington, I was at Dewey's Pizza with my kids and I saw the for rent sign. I mean, the pizza was being delivered to the store and I grabbed like 2 of my kids and ran across the street and called the number.
Wow. I mean, it may not have paid you monetarily, right? That front desk job, but my gosh, it paid you exponentially, right? In the exposure. Possibility. Yes. We just talked about this with our last guest and the value and power of exposure and just seeing what is possible.
Right. Exactly.
So that's incredible.
So you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and no idea what you're doing, decide you're going to open up a franchise. Tell me how it went.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's messy, like super messy. Yeah. And it's really cool to see how far Oasis Space Bar has come. Molly didn't know what was happening either. Honestly, she just knew she wanted to grow the franchise and I knew I wanted to be a part of it. In all honesty, I didn't even like look into what a franchise entailed. I just was like, this is a great concept. This is awesome. This is something I want to be a part of, and dove in. Yeah. So we opened Worthington. We super scrappy. I mean, we were like taking down the paint on the walls, and, my husband, who never laid flooring, was laying flooring with his dad. And we kind of just took it day by day. I signed the franchise documents during the pandemic when we were closed.
Wow. You're my favorite kind of entrepreneur, because you literally just jump, spread your wings, and then you like learn how to flap right when you're like in the nosedive.
Right.
It's my favorite.
Yes. And I feel like my parents taught me that. Like I grew up a lot with them just kind of not knowing what they were doing and figuring it out. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, the only way to do it, because if you kind of wait till you know what you're doing, you're never going to do it.
Yeah,
no one really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, the opportunity could have passed you by.
Yeah.
And you also highlight another point, which we see time and time again, is there are 10 reasons why what you're doing is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And maybe more, right? And you're still doing it. Like, you have no business opening up a face.
No. None whatsoever.
Right?
Like you were not an esthetician.
No, I wasn't an esthetician. I didn't know anything about like the salon world really, except for what B Rose taught me. Yeah. But I knew people, and like, that's what it was about. And that's where it's a relationship business.
And so now you have one of the most successful franchise locations of the entire organization. Mm-hmm. And you've taken what you've learned there, and then you built your own model or another business, right, with Dome. So talk to me about the transition between you own these multiple franchise locations and it's going really well, but then you have an idea for another concept.
Yeah. Well, the idea for the concept actually came. So I grew up on the East Coast in Baltimore, Maryland. We have a very all over family. So long story short, all of my family, sister, brother, significant others, grandkids, my parents ended up in California. So luckily we get to go to California like a few times a year. It's a wonderful place to visit. So when I was out there, everything kind of starts on the West and East Coast, right? So you kind of have to keep your eye on it a little bit. And I felt that coming from New York, or that area. It was, Columbus is great. But, there's just a lot of unique things in those areas. So I heard about the head spa industry and had my first treatment. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I love this treatment. Like, this is a treatment that's going to stay. With any new fad, there's like some gimmicky stuff too, but that comes and goes. But like when it's a good, effective treatment, and you can do it right, it'll stay. So that's kind of where the idea came from. I came home. I remember we were standing at the island. We were having we were going through it with Oasis Face Bar, as we always are, like just with any business. And I was like, hey, I know this is maybe not a great time, but like I have this idea.
God bless it.
Yeah. And Kyle actually thought of the name, and I was just throwing it out there. And Kyle actually thought like of the name Dome as when it, comes to your, your scalp and hat dome. So that's kind of where the idea came about, and we sat on it for about a year, which I normally don't do. I was like, okay, so like we're going to do this next month, right? But there was just some things that needed to be figured out and navigated. And we finally kind of started doing that.
Yeah. And when had you launched the second location of Oasis?
So we actually opened Worthington, and then I bought the downtown location. So it was the first one on Gay Street.
Okay.
And then we moved to Short North.
Okay.
And I love the city. I just really thought, oh my gosh, it's going to get me to go down to the city. I love it. And I still love the city, but owning a business is a different story. So I met another girl that really wanted to come into the Oasis Face Bar franchise, sold that location to her, and then opened Dublin. So it was there was a year in between opening Worthington, buying Short North, or buying Gay Street, and then another 2 years-ish before opening Dublin, Oasis. About 2.5 years after I opened the first location.
And then after Dublin, Oasis, it was what, like a year for Dome?
Not even
a year after.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know more than you knew before because you opened these other businesses, even though the model was slightly different, right?
Yeah.
So you know more than you knew before, but you moved really quickly to get Dome off the ground. Tell me how that experience was.
Well, in my eyes, it wasn't quickly. So I got the keys to Worthington. We totally renovated it in 4 weeks. I got the keys to Dublin, Oasis, which was like a real estate office from the 70s. And we opened in 2 weeks. And I had everything lined up before we even got the keys. They were just kind of waiting for me. So to me, it took us, from getting the keys to the plumbing, the contractors, we had to get a whole architect in there. It was a whole different situation. It took about 6 months. So, to me, that was like 6 months too long.
Yeah, forever.
But, it just was, we definitely moved quick.
And at the time, were there times where you were opening Dome where you just thought, what in the world have I gotten myself into?
Oh, for sure. Like the entire time, like every night. But then the next day would come and it would be a new day. And then I would just keep trucking forward. I learned a lot from Oasis and Molly, who started Oasis. She had a lot of great wisdom that, she taught me over the years. And, it just kind of was taking all that I learned and tweaking it into something a little different. And wait, what was the question?
If you question your sanity over and over again.
Yes. Yeah, no, I definitely did. But it's just kind of like a feeling that was just kind of in and out.
Yeah. Was it all the years of positive self-talk or tweaking how you talk to yourself? Because I think a lot of people can resonate with this idea of, I think I'm doing something that makes no sense most days. And my next action is throw in the towel. But your next action is, let's just wake up and try it again the next day.
Right.
Like, what gets you there?
Well, I think that's a loaded question. But I think that honestly, it's kind of when I look back in my life, I could look back on so many things I failed at. But instead, I do have this like natural, I don't know if it came from my parents or what, but they were just like learning experiences. It's like, well, that didn't work because of this. Now I know this. Or even with employees. Okay, that team member didn't work and now I know this. So it's taking everything that you've been through, and some, friends would say maybe like I had a rainbow over my head almost, but it was really kind of just taking like really crappy situations at times and learning from them and growing. And then just surrounding myself, even through college and post-college. I kind of went to college a little bit of, I don't know, like really straight edge dork kind of, I would say. And I just got surrounded by these like really cool, creative people and that were very different from me. And I love people that are different from me. Like when I see someone who is the opposite of me in ways, like I cling on. I love it because it's just, they're everything I'm not. And so just learning from these people. And, I think of one friend in particular, her name was Heather, and she was everything I was not confident in. And I was everything she wasn't confident in. And just kind of opening my eyes and doors to that and learning from those situations. And
I think this is a really unusual perspective because most people that I talk to gravitate towards what feels familiar and likeness, right? And to hear you talk about how much you have to learn from someone who's different from you, to see you surround yourself with people that challenge you to think and look at things differently. I actually think that's a strong marker of confidence because it shows that like I always have something to learn from someone else. And it doesn't mean that I'm not good at what I'm doing. It means I have an opportunity to get better from other people. And I think that's a really big marker of someone having really flexed that confidence muscle over and over again to say, hey, actually, I benefit from being around people who do things different from me. And I learn a lot whenever I'm around them. I think that's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. And there's a certain aspect of like, everyone wants to be seen and loved for like who they are. Yes. So, it's kind of like I have this confidence and stuff, but the moment someone I feel like doesn't necessarily see me, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
And those people that do see me and love me for who I am and who I'm not, I tend to cling to.
Hold on to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said something earlier when you were talking about the process of opening Dome and you'd have like a hard day, but then you would like go to bed and you'd wake up the next day and the sun would be like shining. And it was like a new opportunity to just like look at things. I do think there's something to be said about this whole like, oh, you know what? I can tell that I'm having a moment where I'm not as confident in what's happening, or I'm questioning whether or not I should have done this thing. But a little time and perspective allows you to sort of reset. And there is this like baseline. I call it like a baseline. You're either baseline positive or baseline negative. And I think that can be trained.
Yeah. It's a skill for sure.
And so like knowing that you could go to bed and then wake up and you reset to your baseline was set at glass half full, not glass half empty,
Yeah.
But it does take work to train to get to that place, I think.
Absolutely. And I think I got a lot of that from my family and my, seeing my parents just navigate things growing up and stuff. They're definitely glass half full people.
Yeah. And I have to think too, a background as a teacher and an educator, right? Fundamentally, this concept that we learn and grow and learn new things is right. Something that's pretty comfortable to you. So that's awesome. So what is next? Like what are you opening next, Ash?
I know. I do really love that like creative, the building of something. Yeah. And then when it starts to get up and running, I'm like, okay, what's next? I do have to keep myself honed down a little bit. I have a lot of ideas. But yeah, Dome, we definitely want to grow it. I think it's a really cool, unique concept that just takes a twist on, a really effective service. The entire branding and like everything behind it. I didn't even know when I was creating it how deep it went. Like, one of the things that my parents really instilled in us too is like, just like, I remember I put up this wall sign on like a bulletin board, like bloom where you're planted. And which is funny story. I have horrible grammar sometimes, especially in writing. I didn't get, the best education in Baltimore, and I just got an A for going to school, basically. I would say, yeah. And I didn't get in trouble, you know what I mean, for the most part. So anyways, it was like, I spelled it with your, like, Y-O-U-R. Another teacher came in and said, oh, Ashley, I think you should change that. But anyways, back to the story. The Bloom Warrior Planet is just like, you know, my, just kind of like getting back to your roots and like staying rooted and grounded in who you are. And although like I definitely got like on a totally different track in life than I ever thought I would, even when it came to being just wild in college and all of that stuff, I still stayed rooted in like who I was at the same time. So it's like the brand just embodies this entire like feeling and like value that I have.
It's really cool to hear you talk about it because, you know, you can see the branding whenever you glance at what's happening, you know, get back to your roots is laced through a lot of what you talk about with the brand. But I think, you know, you wouldn't know how deeply personal that was to you without hearing that part of the story, which is really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So how old are your kiddos now?
So they're 10, 7, and 4.
Yay. And I'm sure you're working less than when you were home with them, right?
Yes.
I'm sure time is more of a precious resource. So how do you, as we kind of wrap this up, what's like, how do you balance it? How do you make it all work? Because I think that is something that a lot of listeners, you know, they hear all this and then they're like, oh, surely she has no kids, or, you know, or surely they're grown, or, you know, but I think it's like a really important piece of who you are and a piece of the story.
Yeah. And it's messy. Like the whole thing is messy in ways, you know, you kind of have to jump in, like ready for it to be a mess, ready to not know what you're doing. Nothing's going to ever be perfect. And you just tweak it as you go. And that's like how I kind of work with being a mother too. I just tweak it as I go. Each season's different. You know, some seasons I'm working really, really hard and it's really overwhelming. And then other days I can go to California for 16 days and live my life with my kids and have the businesses still running, thankfully, to a really great model and team members. So it's always kind of like a little bit of a balance of those crazy times and those quieter times. And then once I get too much of the quiet time, I'm ready for the crazy time. Once I get too much of the crazy time, I'm ready for the quiet time. So it just comes and goes. And really just putting up, I mean, people talk about boundaries all the time, which everyone still is always working on, but, and myself included. So just kind of putting up boundaries of, you know, things to be a part of and things not to be a part of.
Because I think that resonates with a lot of people.
Struggle.
What's something that you're not a part of because there's just no time and it's not a priority right now?
I mean, I don't really know. You don't know what you don't know. So there's really a lot going on that I'm not a part of, and I definitely do have this like natural FOMO. Yeah. Which, you know, I love relationships. I love, like, when I always say I'm an introverted extrovert. Like when I'm out with people, I can't help but like be talking and be connecting, but then I need my time to recoup. And so I think it's really just recognizing when I need that recoup time. And, you know, people are probably out there living their lives and stuff, but I just know I need it. And so I just embrace it, which my husband is really great at, you know, helping me get to. So,
yeah, I just think there are so many women out there that need to hear the message that it's not linear. Like there's times where you're going to be maybe more invested in the kiddos, and there's times where you're going to be maybe more invested in your business, and to not get so locked into what the split needs to look like, because the split is always going to change based on what's happening in your life, and your life is always changing, right?
Exactly. And Kai always says like, hey, listen, we have a lot going on with one of our children or something we're dealing with. Like the fact that the businesses can still run and we don't need to be there. And sometimes it's okay to let them just run and not be like
pressing so hard.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is probably like this is why I hired Whitney to my social media, because I just realized like I can't do it. And it's something that I used to love and really be a part of, but then it was something that I did not want to be a part of. So kind of made that switch.
And knowing that, I think, and being able to like listen to yourself and say, realistically, what do I have the bandwidth and the interest for? And where can I bring in the people to help support that? Right. Whether it's, I mean, we were literally just having this conversation about, you know, things around the house. It's like, okay, well, like if you're in a sprint in business and I'm in a sprint in business, who's going to be our wife because we need a wife, right? And so
Right.
what are we going to do there? And so that's probably not a forever thing, but it's a right now thing, right?
Right.
And just knowing that that's going to change and that's okay, and ask for the help and take it.
Yeah. And really, truly, one of the biggest things that I always go back to is like, no one really cares as much. Like then, then no one's watching as intently as you are, especially when it comes to your business. So yeah, we don't want our businesses to plummet. We don't, we want them to thrive, but it's okay to just step back sometimes and just let them be. If they can be.
In a world that's so steeped with hustle culture. I hope every woman heard that loud and clear.
Yeah. And I mean, the beauty is you have invested the time on the front end to put the systems in place.
Yes.
So that it can run. And I think that transfers just as much to personal life as it does to business.
Right.
When you have the systems and procedures in place, it's not forever, but there's times where you can let your foot off the gas and it still goes.
Exactly.
Well, we have so enjoyed hearing all about your story, and we are watching and cheering you on loudly. And tell the people where they can find you.
So yeah, we have Instagram, that's Dome Scalp and Head Spa, and then Oasis Spacebar Dublin Worthington. So you can find us there on Facebook and Instagram.
We hope that you've enjoyed hearing a little bit more behind the scenes of what it's like to be a mom and build multiple businesses for one of our dear friends.
Yes. Thanks for being with us, Ashley. And we will talk to everyone soon.
Thank you, too.